winding down from the delicious food we shared. Thank you. By the way, thank you to everyone who brought something. It was very, very good. It was very delicious. Thank you for that. But as we're winding down, let us do what is customary to us and review what we talked about last week. Who remembers anything important, significant, interesting from last week? I guess I could start. What did we talk about last week?
Sex.
Yes, indeed. But not just by itself in a vacuum. In accordance with what? Right, the sixth commandment. What do you remember from that discussion? Absolutely. Absolutely we should. What else?
The purpose of marriage.
The purpose of marriage. Very good. What else? Not quite, Max.
When we talk about the culture and the effects it has right now.
Very good. So, purpose of marriage. We talked about how that kind of interacts with the culture, how the culture has shifted and changed, right? We talked about the purpose of sex and how it serves one, right? Or rather, how it is useful and good and pleasing to God when done correctly. And we kind of wrapped it all up in the sense of that this commandment is for the benefit of the neighbor, right? This is not a self-serving act. This is an act which is supposed to be mutually shared and benefited from. Make sense? Okay. Well, now we can officially put that down and probably never pick it back up again. Right? I know people get very uncomfortable talking about such things. So we will move smartly to the seventh command. What is the seventh command?
Thou shalt not steal.
In accordance, you guys can read Luther's explanation. What does this mean? Very good. So as Luther, we're kind of back to the formula of Luther now. What is the negative that we're not supposed to do?
Covet our neighbor's belongings.
Well, we'll get to coveting. We'll get to coveting. Right, you don't take stuff, but instead, what's the positive aspect of the explanation? Huh?
Not giving your boss full duty.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. We'll get to all that. What is, so we're not supposed to take stuff. What are we supposed to do? Give? Absolutely. Luther specifically says we're supposed to help our neighbor improve and protect his possessions and income. Improve and protect his possessions and income. So we're not allowed to take stuff, but we ought to be doing things that is improving the life of our neighbor.
Everything is a gift of God, so you share it.
Yeah. How to put this? If God created all things, what do you own? Nothing. Zip. Zilch. Zero. Nothing. Nothing. So when we are giving, we're not even giving kind of out of ourselves. We are giving what the Lord has blessed us with. You can boil it down to the idea first given to Israel. You know, blessed, and it's even, you can see this phrase on like shirts and bumper stickers. It's been kind of marketed, right? Blessed to be a blessing. We give because the Lord has given to us. We love because the Lord has loved us. Now, let's explore that idea a little bit. When we talk in this way, right, especially in like current day's ideologies and ideas, sometimes people get very uncomfortable with that, or they try to use it against you. Can you legislate this idea? No. Why not?
If you're forced to give, then it's not a free gift.
Then it's not charity, right? If you are forced to, it is not charity. And you could say, maybe you could make the argument, well, God made it a commandment, which He did, but does He force us to follow the commandments? No. No. And that's kind of important to realize. If we were forced to follow the commandments in the sense of under threat of immediate violence, I don't think we would be here. I don't think any of us would make it past a day. So when we talk of theft or giving, we are talking out of the heart, out of the spirit. Do we do these things? You cannot legislate morality. You can only stop wickedness. Does that make sense? Okay. I want to make sure that idea is clear. You cannot legislate morality. Because most laws, in fact all laws, their purpose is to contain or restrain wickedness. It's a restraining. It's a restraining. Okay. So, how do we fear and love God in keeping the seventh commandment?
If we are sharing our blessings and doing that the proper way, not by force but by love, we're making the love of Christ.
That's right. That's right. Let's say, by doing the seventh commandment, we are reflecting Christ. Absolutely. Absolutely. What about when we break it? How do we break the seventh commandment?
By not sharing or hoarding.
Not sharing.
Steve,
Hoarding.
acquiring goods about dishonest means.
Yeah. Yeah, stealing illegally, which we all kind of know the trope, right? Some burglar breaks into your home and takes things. It's illegal, you can't do that. Or there is also legal theft, the way in which only appears right. You can steal, you can take. What else? What else? What are some other thoughts that you have?
Not giving your best on your job.
Hey, there we go. Being lazy. Being lazy. Especially if you're lazy in your employment, you are thieving from your employer. I know that's probably a hot take in this day and age, you know. But in accordance with the commandments, we ought not to be defrauding our employer by laziness. So if you're lazy, you are thieving. You're thieving. Very good. What about in keeping it? So we have the reflecting Christ, giving out of charity, right? We reflect Christ. What are your thoughts, and I really want to hear these, what are your thoughts on helping the neighbor?
Well, I think just looking out for each other is one way. Like, it could be like literally your neighbor. Like, we have a pretty good neighbor across the street from us, and she's always looking out for us. And we look out for her too.
Yeah.
Just, being vigilant, or even just talking to each other, getting to know each other enough to be like, oh, that's not normal. Oh, but okay, I saw this guy in your driveway, by the way, is that your new landscaper guy, or is that,
Yeah.
things like that.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, it's kind of a prerequisite to taking care of the people physically around you.
And your taxes.
Oh yeah, well, you gotta pay your taxes, right? And we all struggle to pay our taxes. But let me ask that more pointedly. So, neighbor, in the sense of the church, we view everyone as our neighbor, and that is true, right? How many of you know, and I'm sure that's probably most of you do, but how many of you know your physical neighbors?
I don't know, 2 of them.
Yeah, okay. That's kind of from a bygone era, isn't it? To know your physical neighbors. Because to do what you said, Sarah, to kind of keep watch and be on the lookout, protecting your neighbor's possessions, you have to actually know them.
Yeah.
You have to physically know them, in a sense. Not in a busy bee, kind of nagging Denny kind of way, but in a Christian loving way of hey, I saw somebody, like what Sarah was saying, I saw somebody, and they didn't look very familiar. I wanted to let you know. And they can either tell you, I don't know that person at all, or I do know, yeah, that's so-and-so. That's Jimmy. But it's interesting to think about that in this age, we have almost self-isolated to the point to where hardly anybody knows who's physically around them. Gone are the days, or no longer are the days at least, of going over to your neighbor's house and asking for a cup of sugar or something.
Welcoming new neighbors to the neighborhood.
Welcoming new neighbors to the neighborhood, right? You see that on sitcoms and TV shows and movies, Someone would move into the neighborhood and several people would bring casserole dishes and be like, hey, we just want to welcome you to the neighborhood. We wanted to introduce ourselves to you. Hardly ever do you move somewhere now and someone goes out of their way to introduce themselves. We're lucky to be blessed, very blessed, to know our physical neighbors, because they did just that. They did just that. They came over and they introduced themselves. And even brought food. They brought food to us. And now it's oh yeah, absolutely. It was delicious. And now, at this point, my son, every time he gets home from school, will say hi to our neighbor. He'll go over, to the edge of his yard. Hey, Mr. Jose. And we actually have a relationship with him, right? That's blossoming, hopefully, into a friendship. So, that is something I think to consider. To take care of the neighbor, of course, is to take care of everyone. The corporate neighbor of all people in all places at all times, right? But it doesn't lose its specificness. We ought to help our neighbors around us maintain, keep, and cherish their possessions. Any questions or comments so far?
Well, I would say the main way that we met Miss Ann, the one that I said is a really good neighbor, is we had a house fire a few years ago, and Shay was on the home, and she went right over there and kept Shay for me until I got there. Yeah. Shay was old enough to be home, but, it was a whole thing, but yeah. And I thanked her obviously a billion times. She was like, I'm just being a neighbor. I'm literally just I'm just being a neighbor. I'm just being a neighbor. But that really formed, a relationship. She had come to our house before, on the Ring camera.
Mm-hmm.
John told me one time there was some funny looking lady knocked on the door, but he didn't answer it because he was sleeping for work. But anyway, that's kind of how we met, and
Yeah.
it was just great. So she's kind of like a great aunt to them in a lot of ways. But she helped take care of Shay during all of that craziness, and it was really awesome.
That's fantastic.
And a Christian woman also.
Yeah. Blessed, we are blessed when brothers and sisters dwell in unity together. We are blessed. We are blessed. Any other thoughts or comments on the seventh commandment? If not, to be honest, pretty straightforward, right? Don't take things that aren't yours. Help people keep the things that are theirs. Help people keep the things that are theirs. Very good. All right. What is the eighth commandment? Very good. Reading Luther's explanation, what does this mean?
Don't harm your neighbor's reputation.
Oh yeah, most certainly. Most certainly. Go ahead, Dot, read that for us.
We should fear and love God so that we do not tell lies about our neighbor, threaten him, slander him, or hurt his reputation. If you defend him, speak well of him, and explain everything in the kindest way.
Very good. Very good. Why is a good reputation important?
Well, it can affect your livelihood.
Yes. It most certainly can. Let's break it down. If you have a good reputation, what happens? Livelihood. If you have a good reputation, you go to a job interview, does that help you? Yeah, right? Good reputation brings work. Right? People vouch for you. People say you're a hard worker. People say you're good at your job, right? You are more likely to get work, right? What about a good reputation? Let's say a good reputation in the dating world. How does that help
You can find a spouse.
you? You can find a spouse.
Hopefully.
Yeah. Right. If all things fall into place, right? You can find a spouse. That's pretty good. How else does a good reputation essentiate you? In your livelihood? In your dating life? Huh?
People don't make you independent, they can depend on you.
Yeah.
I think for service in general, if you claim to follow Christ and you offer to help someone and you're really not showing that as far as not really living a Christian life on the outside, and you're like, hey, my church is doing this, or we really like helping with that, they might be a little skeptical because they think that you're scamming them or something.
Oh yeah, 100%, right?
Weird stuff.
Having a good reputation makes you dependable, while having a bad one, people won't want to trust you,
Yeah.
right? Dependability brings with it, you have more, at least an opportunity to make more friends. Your connections with your family are better through acts of service, right? I don't believe in karma, but I believe that God blesses. So as we serve and help and have goodness, right, do the good works, people are more willing, if you have a good reputation, to help you when you are in times of need, right? It's a very reciprocal thing. Versus when you have a bad reputation, are places going to hire you? No. No. No job. Are people going to be wanting to date you if you have a bad reputation?
Not good people.
Not good people, at least. Right? Not good people, at least, tend to be more lonely. Tend to be more lonely. Even in a crowded room, you can be lonely. Even in a crowded room, you can be lonely. Right? Family and friends tend to have lower. And as Sarah was saying, people will not trust you. People will not trust you. So having a good reputation is one of the most important things in our earthly time here. That way that we can enjoy, at least to the best of our ability, try to enjoy this life. Think about how the culture reacts to reputation, right? What's one way people have recently taken to, probably in the past decade, maybe 15 years, to get rid of somebody that they don't like?
Cancel.
That's right, they'll cancel them, right? Cancel, right? But what is that what is the actuality of cancel? What are people doing?
Sometimes people are, like if you're putting a work out there, they won't go to see it, they won't participate in it, they won't support it,
Mm-hmm.
That's one.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
then they, start to fire off, mean tweets and whatever on social media.
Mm-hmm. They'll destroy your reputation. That's really it.
I don't want to say denounce, but kind of, sort of,
Yeah. Cancel culture is nothing, at least in my eyes, is nothing more than reputation destruction.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Anything you put out or do, don't buy it. Don't listen to it. Don't watch it. Anything you try to do or say, you can shout you down, tell you you're bad, right? He will get fired from their jobs and not be able to get another job because their reputation is utterly destroyed. So this isn't some high-minded ivory tower like idea or ideology. It's a very real consequences for how people look at you. I know the culture and everybody, I've heard it my whole life. I grew up hearing this. I grew up hearing this over and over and over again. It doesn't matter what people think about you as long as you love yourself. And that's just false. It doesn't matter how much I love myself if no one actually likes me, at least a little bit. Because it is my reputation that assists in life. Does that make sense? So, when we engage in breaking of the 8th commandment, we are engaging in reputation destruction. To lie, to bear false witness against your neighbor, is to destroy their reputation, and by extension, destroy their life. Destroy their life. And in this day and age, it's way harder to, I know back in ye olden days, if, say, the village didn't like you, what could you do?
Well, maybe go there.
Leave. Yeah, you leave. You know? If they were like, we don't like this guy, and you pack up and you leave, there's no internet. Who's gonna know? You move to a different town. You move to a different, change your name. I don't know. You have the opportunity to start over. Can you start over in 2025? No, that's going to follow you everywhere. There is no starting over. Your reputation follows you everywhere. So it's more important than ever that we take heed of the 8th commandment. Okay. So, how do we fear and love God in keeping the 8th commandment? So what don't we do? Let's start with that. Why? Right?
You don't start a whispering campaign against someone because you're jealous or envious of them, which would, in fact, destroy their reputation.
That's right. Don't lie. Don't lie. So, that seems pretty simple and pretty easy. Don't lie. Okay, all right. But let's dig a little bit deeper, right?
Don't be envy, jealous.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. And that kind of goes along with coveting. Envy, jealousy.
Gossiping.
Right. Let's talk about gossip for a second. Why is gossip bad?
Well, it can destroy people. I heard a good analogy one time from some pastor, I don't remember who it was, but he was basically explaining, like, if you took a feathered pillow, took it to the top of the building, slid it open, and shake it out from there, and you go try to pick up all those feathers, it's going to be a mess, and they're going to be everywhere. And even if you can get them all, by the time you get them all, they're so spread out and dispersed. That's what you could do to somebody. Like, by the time you can clean that up, you might have ruined somebody.
Mm-hmm. Again, more reputation destruction,
Yeah.
right?
Reputation.
Most certainly.
It's destructive.
Well,
It's destructive. Gossip is destructive.
Yeah.
yes. Yes. So, walk with me, right? Say someone says something. I don't know. Pastor Tommy is a thief. Right? I'm a thief. a rapscallion, as it were. You know? It's real vague. Let me make it more specific. That way it's not too vague, because there's a point to this. Let's say someone you heard, I don't know, Pastor Tommy said something mean to his wife, right? Let's say I called her a nasty name. Pastor Tommy called his wife a nasty name. Okay. You hear that. And you don't know if it's true or not. Because you weren't there. Were you? So, are you an eyewitness to this supposed event? It's important to keep in mind for everyone. So when someone tells you, Pastor Tommy called his wife a mean name, what's the first question you should ask?
Did you hear that from his mouth?
Did you hear that? Were you there? Well, no, I wasn't. I heard it from so-and-so. What's the next question you should ask? Huh? Then why are you repeating? Was so-and-so there? Let's say Joe. Was Joe there? Well, no, Joe heard it from, Stacy. Well, was Stacy there? Well, no, Stacy heard it from... You see how it's not a small thing to lie. Because by the time something gets to you, this is why gossiping is so bad, you don't know if you're getting a second, third, fourth, fifth, or 10th, or 11th, or 25th hand account of an incident that may have happened. Now, does this mean that we lie when we do witness something?
When you witness it?
Yeah, when you witness it.
No.
No, you tell the truth, right? You tell, huh?
I hope so.
Right.
Yeah.
I worry though, because sometimes people have heard this and they're like, oh, so we can't say anything? I'm like, no, that's not what this means. But what it does mean is when someone tells you something, it is worth your while to see how they know. That way you're not getting sixth-hand information. I don't know have you guys ever played the game Telephone?
Yeah.
Yeah. How often do people win that game? I've never seen it. Not one time. Not one time have I seen a game of telephone to where the last person repeats what the first person heard. Not one time. So when it comes to gossiping, and we're all chitter-chatting around, right? It's worth it to see where this information is coming from so that you don't break the 8th commandment. Because even if you tell a lie that you don't know it's a lie, is that going to save you? No.
I mean, we're guilty of sin, even things that we think or we might not even know that we're doing.
Yeah. Yeah. A lie is a lie is a lie. Even if you believe what you said, even if you trust the person that told you, and it turns out to be a lie, you still engaged in lying and destroying someone's reputation and slandering them. Right? So gossiping is no small thing. It's quite a big thing. That's how weird rumors get around about people, and it starts affecting them very personally. Make sense? Okay. So you don't lie, and you don't gossip. What else don't you do?
Betray.
Yeah, betray. How do you betray?
When you hurt their trust or stab them in the back.
Yeah, most certainly. I like the way this way of putting it. You make public what was private. That is a betrayal. That is a betrayal of words. If someone tells you something in confidence, someone tells you something in private, and you decide to make it public, that is a major betrayal of their trust. And you are breaking the 8th commandment in doing so. What you were told in private should and ought to stay private. You should not make it public out of spite, or right, to dribble into coveting a little bit, out of envy or jealousy or spite. Now, there are certain situations to where we do have to tell things for public safety concerns. This isn't, I'm not trying to say that we shouldn't tell people. If someone comes up to you and they're like, hey, I murdered somebody, you should go tell the police. Like, you should go tell somebody that, right? Not shout it from the rooftops, right? But tell the proper authorities. There are crimes need to be handled in a special way, right? It's not those things. It's not those things. But it is things like when someone vents to you. Maybe they do say some things that may be harsh, or kind of come from a place that's not the best, but they're trying to confide in you. And what do you do if you turn around and you start to make that public? Well, Joe doesn't like you very much. Yeah, he told me yesterday, he actually hates you. What are you going to do? What have you done?
You're harming relationships. I guess if we gossiping again, well, sort of. I mean,
Yeah.
it's just kind of revealing someone's, well, like you said, private, it was private.
Mm-hmm.
I've had things like that happen to me before. So it doesn't feel good.
No.
I think you trust somebody when you can't.
And then you can't, because they make what you said in private public, right? And oftentimes, let's be honest with ourselves, how many times have we been venting to our friend, right? Our best friend, our friends, right? And we're just trying to we word vomit things out that we don't actually mean in full, right? So-and-so is so annoying. I just wish they'd stop talking to me, right? Do we actually mean that? 9 times out of 10 we don't. Not really in that sense. Because someone can then go and be like, oh yeah, you know what? Pastor said you should stop talking to him. What's that going to do to me? Probably not great things, right? I would never say that. I love talking to you all. I love talking to you all. We don't make public what people confide in us. That is improper. It's improper for us to do. Again, excluding crimes which should be reported to the authorities in the proper manner. Okay, let me make that clear. Excluding crimes which should be reported to the proper authorities in good manner. In good manner. Does that make sense? These are the things we don't do. Lying, the 8th commandment is more than just not lying in the sense of no, I didn't take the last cookie. It's more than that. Gossip isn't harmless. Relationships with people are important, and they confide in you. They struggle with you. They lean on you. It's all covered in the 8th commandment. So if that's what we're not supposed to do, what are we supposed to do? How do we follow the 8th commandment?
Well, if I heard a mistruth about a friend of mine, I would confront them and say, that's not true.
Yes. Right?
I would be skeptical then everything that I heard from that person going forward.
You stick up for your neighbor, right? In this day and age, in this culture, I guess I'll just ask you, do you feel confident people would stick up for you?
Be a small number.
Yeah, I agree. I think there's a small number of people that would stick up for me. And I trust them. With my whole life, I trust them. But that's generally not like an attitude people have in the wider public. To prove that, look at Twitter, or Facebook, or Instagram. People are so ready and willing to believe negative things about another human being nearly instantly. No matter how bad it is. You know? Be like, Claire murdered 8 people, and they're like, oh my goodness, no way! I believe that. You stick up for your neighbor. You stick up for your neighbor. That's, to put it, in ye old-timey speak, you defend their reputation. You defend your neighbor's reputation. That's what you do. Very good. How else do we follow the 8th commandment?
By not trying to appease someone that's lying, just stick to the truth.
Yes, 100%.
But now we have so many people who are willing to straddle the fence to maintain faith with the person that's telling a lie.
I completely agree with you. That is rampant, right? People will play the both sides argument, right? They're straddling the fence. Well, maybe that was bad, but, and they'll disregard the truth entirely, right? And that's different than defending someone's reputation. If you know the truth and disregard it, you're not defending someone's reputation. You are lying. Make sense? To defend someone's reputation, you can't know what you don't know, right? So rumors, gossip, you can say, I don't believe that. Do you have if there's no evidence, I will not engage in this, right? Versus when you know the truth and you purposely disregard it. How else do we keep the 8th commandment? Yeah. Yeah. You highlight someone's good qualities. Why is it important for us to do that? We build each other up. Very good. Which is true.
It gives people confidence too, because if someone comes to me and is like, hey, I heard this awful rumor about you, but I stood up for you and all this, and I was like, no way, she does this and this, and you might be encouraged and have some confidence, not just in yourself, but in that relationship you have, because that person's willing to stick up for you, and actually they might even point out things you didn't know about yourself.
100%, right? You can trust they're telling the truth, right? And I think that's important, because this isn't to be used as an excuse to deflect criticism, right? But if humans are anything but consistent, if history shows us anything, we really only accept criticism from the people that we like. That's the only way we hear it. And someone we don't like, Huh?
Shall we check on it?
Yes. Here. Okay. We don't deflect criticism by citing this. I really hate that. That's a misuse of the Eighth Commandment. To where someone has truthful or valid criticism of someone else, and someone says, well, you can't say that. You should only be talking about the good things. Like, no, I'm telling the truth. We should and ought to tell the truth, right? However, with our understanding of sin and how it works, and how, more importantly, we're all affected by sin. When we have that foundation, we should seek to, when possible and when applicable, highlight good qualities of our neighbor. Because we're all kind of bad. We're all kind of bad. We all have sin. We all aren't doing the things that we're supposed to be doing. So when we do good things, we should praise each other for them and highlight them and elevate them. That is defending someone's reputation and keeping their reputation good. Does that make sense? Start with the baseline of we're all sinners. This becomes a lot easier. And it becomes something that you want to do. I want to look for the best in you. I want to look for the best in you. Because I know what the worst in me looks like. So I want to look for the best in you. Make sense? Okay.
I also think if you're highlighting someone's good characteristics, they will strive to be even better in that characteristic.
Yeah, absolutely. Positive reinforcement, we say. Right? It works. It's worked for a long time. People like being told, good job. Is he all right?
Yeah, he's okay. He just hit his foot on the door.
Okay. Okay.
No blood.
Okay. Praise God. We like when people tell us good job, and it makes us want to do the thing even more and better so that people keep telling us good job. We all like it. We all like it. It helps us be better. Good. What's the final way in which we keep the Eighth Commandment?
I like the way it's worded, explain everything in the kindest way.
Yes.
Because, that's more loving.
And you may not be privy to all the facts behind it.
Right.
So why would you turn that into a negative judgment against that person if you don't know all the facts?
Yeah. Yeah. We seek to understand our neighbor. Right? We seek to understand our neighbor. Now, and this is what I'm talking about. I don't want you to hear we're not allowed to criticize or say negative things about the people around us. Because that's not what I'm saying. It's just we ought to tell the truth in the best way. Right? We ought to tell the truth in the best way. We should and ought hold each other accountable. That's not lying. Telling the truth and holding each other accountable is not lying. It's good for us to do. Okay? However, we should seek to understand why our neighbor has done or said something. For example, right? A very simple example. I'm sure you all have experienced this at some point, right? You have a friend, and one day they're just kind of mean as a dog to you, right? They snap at you. They're short. They're not talking to you. All that jazz. And then the next day they act like nothing happened, or they feel bad, right? Now you could take that bad day, as it were, and completely flip your opinion of your friend, right? And say, they treated me poorly. They said some mean things. They were snappy. They were snippy with me. I don't want to be your friend anymore. You could do that. Or you can maybe ask them, hey, yesterday you kind of snapped at me. You said some mean things. I hurt my feelings. What's going on? Is something happening? Did something happen yesterday? You see how different that conversation could be? And maybe they tell you, man, I'm sorry. I had a real bad day. I got in a fight with my spouse, or my kids were acting up, or, or worse, right? I lost my job. I found out my mother died, and I didn't know how to handle it. You see how these conversations can be different if we're seeking to understand our neighbor? Now, again, this applies to, I can't say that. I can't say it doesn't apply. But consequences come heavier when you talk about crime. I'm not saying if you witness someone murder someone else, you can be like, well, what made you do that? No, there should be consequences to such things. Maybe we ought to seek to understand, right? But not in place of justice. Not in place of justice. Make sense? Yeah? Okay. So, we follow the 8th commandment, and we defend our neighbor's reputation. We stick to the truth, regardless of what it is. We highlight the good qualities of our neighbor when we can, and we seek to understand our neighbor if they sin against us. If they sin against us, we try to seek to understand to the best of our ability. To the best of our ability, all while sticking to the truth. Sticking to the truth. Questions or comments? Questions or comments on the 8th commandment as a whole?
I think for that last point about seeking to understand is helpful. Just in general, as far as keeping our self-righteousness in check as well, because we're all sinners. We need to remember that. Sometimes we can all have these moments where it's I can't believe they did that. Such and such and such. I would never do such a thing. And it's well, sin is sin. You may not have done that specific thing, but no doubt you lied before, or you cursed when you stubbed your toe, something like that. So I think it just puts it in perspective, And as someone who works with children, small children, and lives with one, it's really good to seek to understand. You're saying, those conversations can be really helpful even at a young age, because with them, it helps them to understand too. A lot of times.
Absolutely.
They just don't know, but a lot of times there's something going on.
Absolutely. I completely agree with you. To try to teach that and instill that in children and the younger generation, to seek to understand first, not at the expense of the truth, but to seek to understand can help us maintain relationships when they get rocky, right? I would also caution against the use of phrases of I would never or I always. Because is this true? More often than not, no. I would never do that. You probably already did. I always, 100%, every time, always. It's a very slippery slope and a dangerous game to play these two phrases. And that's where, like you were saying, Sarah, our self-righteousness kind of comes into play. People often, I've heard it often used, and a little bit less now, but I've heard it often used when I've taught or even studied with people looking at the Old Testament, right? I would never act like the Israelites. I would never. Not me, right? Or even New Testament, I would never be a Pharisee. Are you sure? It's that kind of mindset that takes us away from the reflective nature of Christian life, right? We live the repentant life, and we'll get there. That's going to be covered kind of in confession and absolution, that section. To live the repentant life of the Christian is to always, daily, be repenting. So I just caution you against using I would never or I always. Any other questions or comments? No? Well, hey, we're through the 8th commandment. Yeah. I think we'll probably finish up the commandments next week. I think. I'm pretty confident in that. We'll cover 9 and 10, and then we'll close with the commandments, and then we'll be up to covering the creed. I highly encourage you, if you do have any questions or comments or statements, don't be afraid to ask or say something. You know? I'll let you in. I'll let you in close, right? I really don't like lecturing. I like talking. That's the best way I've ever been able to learn. I think I learned more at seminary, sitting around campfires with my professors, as I pretended I was sophisticated and smoked a cigar, than I ever did in a classroom. The dialogue with my professors, the dialogue with my friends, with my brothers, taught me so much. And that's what this is. This is a dialogue. So if you do have things to say, please, fear not. Fear not. I'd love to hear what you have to say. Love to hear your thoughts and opinions. All right. Well, thank you for your time, everyone. I appreciate it. We'll cover the 9th, 10th, and the close of the commandments next week, and then we'll move on to the Apostles' Creed. Thank you.